Hey y'all, it's Maritime in America again, a podcast where we're charting America's offshore stories. It's the only podcast that highlights mariners' perspectives on issues facing the offshore community and the greater U.S. maritime community. I'm your host, Aaron Smith of the Offshore Marine Service Association. Each Friday, I'll bring you the Offshore Briefing, a quick rundown of the week's notable developments, updates, and news you need to know in the offshore space. In addition, we'll feature a special guest from the maritime world, bringing a mariner's voice and real-world perspectives straight to the show. Joining me are my co-hosts, Ashley and Angelle, where we'll strengthen the maritime American mariner's voice by diving into the people, policies, and powerful currents shaping the U.S. maritime community. Whether you're on deck or at your desk, we're glad you're here. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Maritime in America. I'm joined again. My name is Aaron Smith, President and CEO of AMSA here. Excuse me.
You have vacation brain still.
I know. Well, I was trying to think which job I'm supposed to be representing, but this is an AMSA product. Yes, I was thinking OSVDPA because I was actually looking at my OSVDPA business card. So my apologies. But with me, as always, are Ashley and Angelle. Welcome. How are y'all doing?
Hello.
Doing well today.
I'm struggling. First day back in the office after a much needed vacation.
Well, it was a vacation. I don't know if it was much, but yes. Uh, so
Rude.
y'all haven't had a chance to meet our guest today, but I am
No, but I'm very excited.
as well. And so just a little bit of background, last summer we did some great filming for our YouTube channel, Offshore America. And we went and we talked to our member companies and got some people that they thought would be good to talk about the industry, some good, kind of spokesmen for the industries. And I was down in Fushan doing the recording, and I got a call from one of our board members, Ashton Board, and he asked, "Hey, are you still interviewing?" He said, "I forgot to tell you, I got someone perfect." I was like, yeah, we're down here, yeah, let's make it work. And, National Board doesn't get excited about anything. And when he said, "I have someone for you," and he was excited about it, I knew it'd be good. But I didn't realize that we were going to be talking to just one of the absolute best faces and great stories for our industry. So I'm really excited about our guest today. And, as I was prepping this morning, I was just wanting to kind of some things that I know from our today's guest that are important to him, and that was mentorship, ways to advance, and family supporting careers were the kind of the words I jotted down. And then, kind of just as we were getting on today's call, with just completely blind, our guest today brought up those same topics. So I really think that that's kind of an omen that we're going to have a great episode today. So without further ado, I just want to welcome Captain Calvin Gaines Jr. of Laborde Marine onto the show here. Captain Calvin, how are you doing today?
Good morning, everyone. I'm doing good, and it's a pleasure to be here. And thank you so much for the invite.
Oh, well, it is so great to have you. And like I said, I'm really excited about today's episode. So introduce yourself. Tell us, tell the audience, who you are and a little bit of your background. And we'll delve further into that. But, give us introduce yourself, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Calvin Gaines. I'm an unlimited master upon oceans. Been in the industry almost 30 years. I currently run master for Laborde Marine, which I've been working with this company for 22 years. Run all kinds of vessels, supply vessels, crew boats, subsea vessels. Been to about 6 countries, and really enjoy what I do. And the most important thing I enjoy the most is the people I work with, the company, and being able to help another person uh, accomplish their dreams and goals in the maritime industry.
Well, and
Wow,
and that's
22 years. That's amazing. That just again reinforces everything that we talk about and everything that we learn on each podcast that the industry really is great and people like what they're doing and it's I mean it shows if you're at the same job for 22 years, that's amazing.
it, that really is. You're right, Ashley. That you can work on a company for that long.
I mean, I'm at
And
13 years. I don't know if I can add another 10 to that with you, Aaron. Maybe with
well,
Angelle,
yeah. Well, that wouldn't be too hard, yes, but keeping working with anyone working with me for 13 years is
right?
be difficult, right?
It's a long time.
Uh, well, Calvin, that's awesome. And right now you are the master on the Shell Evil board, right?
So correction, I was the master on the Shelley Lab for 2 years when they first obtained the vessel from Boat Truck. Laborde had the vessel Hilda Lab working for Chevron. I'm sorry, for Shell, and they wanted me over there on that project to kind of help provide a good service for Shell, and they wanted to give Shell their best. And I felt honored that they wanted me to go back on the Hilda Lab to work for a company like that for good representation for Laborde Marine. And so, as of right now, I'm a master of the Hilda Lab.
Okay, well, great. Yeah, I met you when we were on the Shelley. Um, but it's great. That's a testament that they're kind of putting you on the flagship, and definitely understanding that says something. I think that's good. I was actually going to quiz Angelle and Ashley and see if they knew where the Shelley came from. But yeah, it was an L&M boat truck boat before it was a Laborde, which I think that's kind of interesting because those are two of the families that started our industry. The Labordes with Tidewater, and then the Cheremies with L&M boat truck. So yeah, I think it's a full circle kind of part of our industry there, how vessels move from one founding family to another.
And our
But
daughter really wanted to have Shelley Laborde, the little girl, pop on this with her to surprise everyone. However, they're both out of town today.
yeah, yeah. That is no, that's also is funny. Um, and speaking of kids, I know that your family is very important to you, Calvin. So tell us about your kids, because I know that's one of the reasons why you go to work. So
And
tell us about
before
your
you
kids.
do that, Calvin, I want everyone to reference our whole campaign we kind of did around you, the I want to be like Calvin, because you talk about your family in there. And I think that's where everyone fell in love with you and your passion for everything. So it's just a good reference note for anyone listening to go check out that campaign on our YouTube.
Yes, good call.
Absolutely. For me, family is everything, and you guys are absolutely right. That's why I've been going back and staying strong and passionate as long as I have. I have 5 kids total. I have 3 boys and 2 girls. My oldest son,
Yowza.
my oldest son, Damien, is a college graduate, has 2 degrees in sports medicine and biology. He almost went pro in baseball, and I personally believe he was just a little bit too short
Oh,
for the liking of the Chicago White Sox. My middle son, Derek,
wow.
was in the military for 3 years. He's also has an associate degree. He went only for 2 years. He said that college wasn't for him. He came offshore, worked with Laborde Marine, and obtained his 100-ton master's license, which he currently have and is serving. And my youngest son, Calvin Gaines III, is a senior in high school playing 4 sports with 3 offers. And if all else fails, Laborde Marine would draft him first pick, first round. I have two daughters that are both
Oh, wow.
nurses that I sent to RN school. They both are LPNs. Unfortunately, they haven't went back for the RN yet, but they are both nurses and they love what they do. And I'm very proud of them and I love them all equally. They really went out of their way yesterday for Father's Day that put me in one of the biggest emotional states that I've ever been in my life. A very surprising um, gathering with gifts and also a saying of how important I am to them. Totally unexpected, but highly appreciated.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's
I
really
swear
sweet.
I learn every podcast. I'm like, if I need to up my game on parenting.
Well, I just love to hear that story, and I remember when we were filming, you mentioned your children, and we put some clips you were so kind to give us. So I'm so glad that we can explore that topic further, and that I love the way you talk about it, that you're sailing for them, and that's the reason why I think that's so important. Uh, so, Captain, it sounds like, people get this industry wrong sometimes. In my mind, I think that they think that working in this industry prevents you from being involved in your family's life. And, from obviously just the relationship you have with your children, that certainly doesn't seem to be true. Would you agree with that? That you have been able to be a very active father? It's obviously true.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is definitely true. And I must admit, I really think modern technology, because it made it that much more accessible to your family with FaceTiming, texting, and calling. Uh, Being that the companies offshore, most if not all, has Wi-Fi aboard the vessel, uh, and also a phone in which you can always stay in contact with your family. They can stay in contact with you. Um, the bandwidth on the boats are now getting strong to where you can FaceTime your family, which is very important for them to see you from time to time. Um, and we come a long way from when I started in 1996, where you had to walk to the payphone and fight mosquitoes and stand in line to call and talk to your family to check and make sure things were okay. To now being in the comfort in your room on the vessel and to contact your kids, your family, your wife, etc. Uh, I feel personally that I have more time to be engaged with my kids because I work 12 hours. Even though I'm away, I have that whole time available. They know my shift, they know my sleeping pattern. They can call me anytime within those 12 hours. And then when I'm home, I have all the time with them. I have nothing to do once I come home off the vessel. So they getting pretty much 110% out of me.
I love that.
That was one of the things I was going to ask you because I just love like when you said I've been working for 22 years. I was thinking what is the biggest change from when you started to now? And I assumed it would be technology.
Yes, absolutely. Technology has been the biggest change.
But I did not imagine sitting on a payphone.
Um, and that actually kind of reminds me of my childhood. My dad, he was a mariner. So whenever he would go out offshore, it would be like that. We knew his schedule, so we knew exactly when to call him and how much time we had. And then once he came home, he kind of just took us everywhere that we wanted to go to. And he was kind of like a big kid himself, so it was just a lot of kids together. But my question is, with your schedule of work and how you work, do you think that influenced how um, how your children viewed success?
Oh, good question.
Yes, ma'am. That is a very good question. So, just to rebuttal something my oldest son said to me yesterday,
I love the way it's starting already.
he said that I want to thank you for showing us how to be a real man, for showing us how to treat a woman, my mother, for showing us how to stay dedicated and passionate about something that you fulfill as your purpose in life. Thank you for taking care of us financially, emotionally, and never giving up on us with our shortcomings in our lives. And, it's been some rough patches for my sons transitioning from boys to men. And I always promised I wouldn't give up on them. But I always want you to do what you want to do. Don't try to follow my footsteps, because what I'm doing was meant for me. And I want you to find your own purpose. But I will always be there and support you. But I will be firm at times, and I will have high expectations, but I'll always be supportive. And I really took that, to heart, that he notices not only just me working and providing, but me setting a good example for my boys as a whole, as a man, and treating their mother how they should treat women in their lives.
Well, I absolutely love
Yeah,
that
that's
answer.
beautiful.
It is. It is. And, you know, something that we were talking about before is, and I thought it was really interesting because I've watched you on board, and and I know your history, and I've heard you talk about this concept of that in the maritime industry, you got where you were because of the mentorship that was shown to you from the captains, the mates, and even the ABs that you came up under. But you really took that a different way, and you talked about how what you found on board was people that were not mentoring you professionally necessarily, but really mentoring you in how to become a good person and how to be a man. And I found that really profound. So can you tell me more about that? Tell me about that history. Tell me about how this industry does that.
One of the amazing things, Aaron, about the industry is you get a chance to work with people from all over the world, um, all walks of life, all different upbringings, races, and nationalities. And, some of the mentorship, some of the things are not good, but I also learned from that. I learned of things not to do. Um, I take all that and utilize it in a way that I can give it back positively. Um, and one of the reasons I'm so passionate is because, I grew up very poor in a poor city on a farm. I grew up with a stepdad that really didn't like me, and he worked me pretty good. So I wasn't a stranger to work. I wasn't a stranger to being mistreated because I was a stepchild. So when I came offshore and I was able to work with guys that wasn't, the most polite, I didn't get emotional because I've been there as a kid. I knew I came out there to work and do my job. So anything that wasn't resourceful or, something I could use, I still would be able to use it to tell someone what not to do or what to look out for in case, you end up in that path. So I took everything in and just kind of regurgitated it, twisted it up, and used it to the best of my ability for my own personal growth and what I, passed on to the next line of generation of mariners.
Well, I think that's very profound and intelligent, and I love hearing you talk about that. How did you find out about this industry? How did you get into the maritime field?
Uh, Believe it or not, I seen ad in a newspaper, and I applied for it the old school way. And I dropped out of college, and I had a child on the way. I needed a job. My mom said, "Son, your fun time in school is over. It's time to get a job and to become a man." So I put in an application with a company out of Panama City. They called me a week later, faxed over the paperwork, and sent me to Morgan City to Candy Fleet Marine. And the rest is history.
So what did
Well,
it say in the newspaper? I'm wondering because a lot of people don't necessarily know what the industry is, if you're not already in it. So like what were your expectations when you saw that in the newspaper?
Yes, so the ad said boat jobs, deckhands to captains. Um, it did have the pay in the ad. It also said hiring now with no experience. So I think what really caught my attention was hiring now and the pay. And believe it or not, at that time, the pay was so low. Um, that's how broke I was, and it was good pay for me. But that's what intrigued me to apply was hiring now because I needed a job right away and the pay.
Understood, makes sense.
sounds like probably you entered the industry with Steve Markram, friend of the podcast, like so many in our industry have. Um, Tell me about, those first few days of becoming a deckhand and what you thought at first.
Yes, sir. So Steve Markram did hire me at Candy Fleet in 1996, and I didn't know what to expect. But I did have a good captain on board that told me about it could be a career. And he went over some details about how to move up, what areas that you might want to move up in, engine room or bridge, and how things could, change your life and impact your future. He's expressed the different levels of training, how to be a good mariner and take your job seriously, and or the risk of not being a good mariner and falling into a comfort zone or a rut and not moving forward and not upgrading.
Well, that's really interesting then. So when did it go from being a job to being a career? And maybe that was a time period or a level you got up to, or just a realization that you liked what you were doing. When did it cross that line from a job to a career?
That is a very good question, Aaron. And when I look back over my career, 5 years in, 5 years in, it was just a job. 5 years in, it was just a job. And not trying to toot my own horn, but at Offshore Marine, I had so many captains saying that I had so much potential to be a great officer and captain. And I didn't believe in myself. I didn't see it. Um, I didn't think I could do it. And so many guys poured into me saying that I had the potential to do it. And after 5 years, I went forward and been successful ever since. But it took me about 5 years to get away from this is just a job until this is my.
Well, and that really goes back into that not even just professional mentorship, but those being a man mentorship that this industry provided for you, didn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really needed that because I was only looking at it from a job perspective. I wasn't
Hmm.
looking at what it could bring for me my future, what it could do, the doors it could open, the things it could do for me personally, and the support that I got from the company, um, in the aspect of how much they believed in me and the benefit I could be for the company.
I think that's something that resonates in everyone's stories is the support. I love that everyone feels supported in every aspect of the job, not just being the captain, just on their career path. That the OMSA member companies or have just supported the mariners. I think it's just such a great story,
It really is.
and that we say career and not a job because it's true. You know, it really is a career.
And then I know, from so you start working up that career path, and it wasn't, you've been at Laborde now 22 years, you said, and that's just amazing and a testament to a great company there. Um, but you talk about that in the video we shot with you, that it wasn't like it was a, you get to the end of your career and finally get some seniority. You were running, what did you say? You were running your own boat by the time you were 29? Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is very correct. And to piggyback off the support, Laborde supported me from the beginning, like no other company I worked for. I never seen that kind of support in my life on the vessel or away from the vessel. Um, and the belief, they believed in me more than some family, um, and provided all kind of opportunity to to move forward. They also allowed me, Aaron, to make mistakes. They allowed me to make mistakes and grow. They didn't, you know, um, basically, discourage me from trying to be who I am today. And that really also helped me because when I made the mistakes, they make me acknowledge the mistakes, help me learn from mistakes, and not to do it again. And the support was always there, even after mistakes. And I think that's very important because sometimes, people want to give up. And they didn't give up on me. They kept pushing me, understanding. And, I think a lot of times that's what single handedly, most of the time keeps me there with Laborde. I think Laborde is the best company in the Gulf.
Well, that is a great story and a great message there too. And I think some people get the wrong perspective about the industry, that that because there's risk in what the industry does. You're talking about an industry that has big heavy machines right next to each other, doing big heavy things, and that is a risk. And so there is a criticality that is very important and has to be taken into advantage. And I think some people think about this industry that they worry about, well, what happens if one of those critical things does go wrong? Are they going to get blamed? But over and over, I hear in our industry, people talk about, when something happens offshore, in those rare moments, that they don't let that mariner go, or they don't try to penalize someone, because what they realize is, hey, that person just learned a lesson. Why do we want to give our competitor the chance to employ a mariner who just learned a great lesson? Well, let's keep that knowledge in our own company. And I love that mindset about our industry. Like you're talking about that it's not that we take care of the people there. It's not just, oh, you make one mistake, you're out the door. I love that about our industry, and I'm so glad that you highlighted that.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And, we have a lot of young cadets that are coming into the industry. And I think that's one of the biggest things that they tell me, specifically about Labor Marine, that, when they make a mistake, they're not just outed and discouraged and, go through a series of questioning, are they good enough? And it's a teaching tool. And Labor, they're really big on that because they see the potential in you, and they support. That's one of the biggest thing they do is support.
That I really think that that's one of the things that makes this industry great, and I really love it, because yeah, that's what we all need, and we all need coming up in whatever field we choose, and why I think more people should be choosing this industry is because yeah, it is that supportive nature in, like you said, all facets in your professional development, in your personal development, in your family life. It's all of those aspects together, and I really like that.
And professionally, there's so much that you guys and gals have to do in order to succeed, credentialing, keeping up with things. And I think that's a big part of the support that companies help. I know we at AMSA help a lot of our member companies help the mariners do a lot of that. That's what we do. Um, in order to, help everyone along because there's so much that goes behind it. Calvin, I have a very strange question that just came to mind because I'm just curious. What would you, if you could tell your younger self something coming back in the industry or that's just starting the industry, what would you tell him? Because it sounded like it was like not an accident, but you just happened upon it, reading in the newspaper. So if you could tell that boy something, what would you tell him right now before he starts?
Thank you. I think you
Enjoy the
stumped.
ride.
I think you stumped me with that one. I have a very delicate situation because I don't know exactly what I would tell my younger self because I thought I was on a good path going to college, and I forgot what I was trying to major in. Uh, I thought I was on a good path, and when my ex-wife got pregnant, I lost my train of thought of what I wanted to do with my life. So when I speak on offshore saved my life, I really mean it because I didn't have any other plans. I didn't have any other options. I didn't have nothing on the table. And I came offshore at 19 and I never left. I never worked on land, so I don't know what it's like to even work on land. Uh,
Wow.
yes, ma'am. So if I could tell myself anything, I probably would say I would have probably made it a career minded sooner than 5 years.
Okay.
I would have tried to upgrade a little bit earlier.
Okay. I like that.
Well,
And I
and
also think you struck a good point of I think a lot of people have this perception and I mean, I know I certainly drill it into my kids. You have to go to college because that's just what you do, right? And if you don't go to college, then is are you a quote unquote failure or blah blah blah? I mean, you're totally right. You actually made this career and that was a great decision for you. You don't necessarily need it. I mean, we're reading in the papers now about all the trade work, the plumbers, the electricians, everyone kind of in the same boat or just that's the businesses that are really taking off. And it's for those kind of, not everyone needs that 4-year college education, I guess.
Well, and that's I was gonna tie this back to something, Calvin, that you said early on that you've told your kids is that, your path was right for you. That doesn't make it right for them. And so I think kind of like what Ashley was saying and what you're saying is that there's not a correct path for anyone. It's whatever path works well for you. And I think that's something that our industry can help provide. And I think that's an important lesson that college isn't everyone's correct path because of, whatever. there are other great ways to make a lucrative career. And maybe, the offshore industry should be considered because for people, not for everyone, but for people, it can provide a great lifestyle. I think that's important. Um, but in talk, so Captain Gaines here, talk about then when you start working up the chain. When you did, you said after 5 years, you decided that this industry was for you. Talk about then that progression, how you went from the deck to the wheelhouse and then running your own boat.
Yes. So uh, I went into the office and asked the necessary questions about moving forward to just kind of correlate the two from what I got from the officers on board and with the management team itself, because you need both. You need the on the job training from the officers on the boat, and you need management to send you to school and set those things up with the Coast Guard for exams. But once I started going, and I upgraded for the very first time, it was kind of bittersweet. Um, some people, Aaron was happy for me. Some people were not happy. Um, I kind of used the Michael Jordan effect of the people wasn't that happy for me. I used that as motivation to prove them wrong. I used them as motivation to prove myself right. And I also worked extra hard to learn my new position. I didn't want anything handed to me. I didn't want anyone to hold my hand. I didn't want any special attention. I wanted to learn everything I need to learn to hold the spot and the position to uh, rightfully earn my pay for moving up.
That that is really cool. And you have moved up quite a bit. I mean, if you're holding a full unlimited oceans, that's a big boat license. That's something that has taken multiple years of accruing sea time and way too many hours of classwork. You don't have to say that. I'll say that. Way too many hours of classwork and proving yourself through multiple tests. So that is something. And I like how you say that these companies, the offshore companies, they're not just that they're standing behind and that they're working with you on those training schedules and those training classes. That's something that's really important, I think, as well, and something that people don't take enough, don't understand enough that this industry provides for its people in terms of helping them work up that process. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir. I definitely agree. Yes, sir.
Oh, good. And something we've talked about on this podcast that really does, because I obviously wholeheartedly believe in this industry and think it's, just one of the best things that is around. But, I just find that sometimes one, not enough people know about it, and that's what we're trying to do here with this podcast is get the story out about how great this industry is and all the great why the country should support this industry, but then also the great opportunities that are here. But then also, there are challenges that the industry, that maybe not the industry, but our regulators put up that prevent people from getting access to these great careers. Can you talk at all about if you had a magic wand, what you would change to make it easier for people to get in and advance in this industry? Is there anything there that you can talk to?
Yes, sir. That's a great question and great point. One of a couple things I would do, which will be to advertise the industry in a more um, professional and welcoming light. What I mean by that is, you know, it's a lot of advertisement for certain careers and certain jobs, and kind of how they do for trucking. And I don't think offshore has any public advertising at all. It's almost like you have to know someone or you have to go online and look and search for yourself. That's number one. I wish we could get more advertising as a career and the great benefits of the industry as a mariner. Number two, I would like some of the rules and regulations, the changes that are made to be lightened or stop. It seems that we have so many um, corporations involved in the industry that's making it tougher for guys to advance. I'm not sure is that linked to the salary increase or etc. But it's stagnating a lot of mariners from moving up and advancing. And if I could make two changes, that would be it. More advertising for a great career in the maritime industry, and also reducing the strict uh, educational and classroom requirements for guys to move up.
Same here. Uh, totally agree with
Yeah,
that.
you have to think
Um,
about like for trucks, like when they're on the road, like they have the advertisement on the back of the truck and people can see
uh
that. But vessels, no one's behind a vessel, or at least we hope
We get
not.
calls all the time at AMSA asking, are y'all hiring? And I said, I'm so sorry. We are just the supporters for all the companies. And then they'll ask me, well, which ones are hiring? And I'm like, all of them. Like you hit the nail on the head. And that is something that we as an industry need to really put our heads together and figure out that's why we've started these campaigns. That's why we've started the Instagram account. That's why we have our YouTube to get it out there. And so people can reach out and figure out who's hiring and what's going on to show that side.
that's exactly correct. And then also your second point, also correct, is what has made this industry so great is that there is there was a pathway for advancement, but they have just layered on class on top of class, test on top of test, requirement on top of requirement, to the point where that pathway has just gotten burdened below so many paperwork, so many classes, so many tests, so many times away from home that it really that pathway is getting cut off. Like you said, I that 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 really messes up what this the great nature that this industry can provide, and that's something we need to that's something we're working on, and I hope we have some partners in the Coast Guard coming up right now that really understand that and see that. So I like your thoughts on that. So Calvin, here obviously, being home and off for the vessel, I don't want to be like one of those maritime courses we were talking about that takes up way too much of your time. And you've been so generous. And I know on your off time, you do like to devote that to your family. So I don't want to take up any more time. So, kind of we always wrap up with final thoughts. What are some takeaways you want the listeners to hear from today?
Number one, maritime is an amazing industry and a great career uh, for a plethora of reasons. Um, it's a very good option um, for a career. Um, it provides a lot of things other than finances. Um, you could travel the world. It helps you in other areas of your life, and you meet amazing people. Um, I'm very grateful for the maritime industry, for everything I have in my life and what I've been able to accomplish and also do offshore and on land. Um, I would give my life to this industry. I will help anyone that is interested. And I'm very appreciative and humble for the opportunity, for all opportunities, including this one with you, Mr. Aaron, and your organization. So that's
Well,
my closing. I appreciate it.
Well, hey, I just appreciate your time so much and appreciate your perspective and agreeing to be a spokesperson for our industry because you're just such a great testament to what this industry can provide and the people that are in our industry. I just love that so much. So, Angelle, can you can you talk to us about any final thoughts that you have?
Yes. So I thought that like the fact that you saw the ad in the paper and it became your career, I think that is amazing. And I think for the most part, I believe it kind of started like that for other mariners that we interviewed as well, where they didn't really know where their goal was, but they ended up in the maritime industry and it was it for them. And then for you, kind of you had a goal, but it changed. Your path changed, and now you're here, and I think that's good. And I always ask a question when I do these. I will ask a question. So your expectations when you came in, it sounded like was for the money and taking care of your family, or I'm sorry, your priority. What just like a one word answer, but what's your priority now? Like what do you prioritize now? Or I can save my question, Ashley, we can get your takeaway.
No, no, that's okay. Feel free to answer that, Calvin.
One word: legacy.
She got you. Oh, that's a good one.
Amazing.
That is a great word. Ashley, what's your takeaway?
Yeah, my takeaway would be just something that he said that stuck with me that we haven't heard as much about is like whatever path you need to follow, essentially. And I just think that's something that we should harp on and, let the listeners and anyone else following know that whatever path leads you wherever. I mean, Captain uh, Spade, sorry, kind of had a brain moment. He's kind of said the same thing. Like he didn't start in this industry, and I love that Calvin Gaines said the same thing. So the path is whatever path is right for you is your path. Honestly,
That was going to be my takeaway is that there's no right path for anyone, and if people are looking for a great opportunity and a great industry that can support not only their professional growth or their monetary growth, but can support you in learning to become a good person. And I know I've had my own challenges in learning that and not there yet, far from it. But that this industry can really provide that. And so I love that. That's my takeaway here and something that I just really love to hear. So, you know, Captain Gaines, again, thank you so much for joining us on your off time. It's been great to talk to you. Love having you on. Any final words?
I want to thank you guys personally for having me, giving me this opportunity to share some of my career, and I really appreciate it. And I thank you guys because you guys also help me show other guys that away from the industry that since the video came out, I've helped 23 people get a job offshore just on the video.
that's
So I want to,
amazing. I love.
yes, I want to thank you guys for that because sometimes some people need to see things. They think talk is cheap. And when they seen that, it really changed them of how they see now the video and um, just everything you guys done. And I just want to thank you personally. I appreciate the opportunity and thank you once again.
Well, hey, thank you for that. Those are kind words, but completely unnecessary because I'm just, like I've said before, I have, from the moment I got into this industry, I've really loved this industry and love the people in it. And we haven't had a platform to show everyone else what a great industry this is. And so thank you for helping us provide that message because, all we're doing is providing the means. You all are providing the message. So that's just so great. And, look, I totally take it away. The takeaway from me is a call to action for me of we have to stop making this just a happenstance for all these great people to enter this great industry. And we have to provide an actual like means for people to enter this industry. Not just, it keeps seeming like everyone enters our industry by happenstance. Maybe, let's look at a mirror about that there. So thank you so much, to our listeners. If you've enjoyed this story, please listen to our other podcasts and watch the videos that we've talked about on the YouTube channel. See some other just great stories. And, please like, subscribe, share, download these episodes because we're so looking forward to giving other mariners this great opportunity to tell their stories. And there are so many great stories. So thank you to everyone. Appreciate everyone's time. Captain Gaines, thank you again for being here. Please be safe and look forward to
And tell your family hello.
yes.
Yes. Happy Father's Day.
And happy Father's Day. Belated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cap.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate you all. Thank you all.
That wraps up another episode of Maritime in America. We're proud to highlight the voices and stories that keep the American offshore industry strong. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us, and remember, the course ahead is shaped by those who step up and steer it. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your crew. Tune in every Friday for your offshore briefing, and don't miss our next full episode, dropping soon with a very special guest's mariner's perspective. Catch you next time.